Welcome back, everybody. This is why I didn't quit Rocket League. About 2 years ago, I made a video on my main channel. It was titled, Why I'm Leaving or Why I'm Retiring. Basically talking about how I was burnt out, that I didn't know if I wanted to be in Rocket League anymore, and I was kind of like trying to move on to the next thing. And there are some things, I think I was correct, I was burnt out, but now, 2 years later, meaning 23, I can reflect and realize, kind of make sense of what emotions I was feeling. And as somebody who's now in their 20s, you know, trying to work on myself, personal development, who I care a lot about self-development, right? Becoming the best version of myself, while also being a gamer and having to balance that. It hasn't been easy. It's been like kind of like a whirlwind of emotions. And so I kind of just wanted to journal how I think about, how I've come to think about this, how I'm thinking about it today, to hopefully make sense of, you know, my past self, hopefully help my future self. And if you're somebody watching who can kind of relate to being like somebody on personal development or self-development, this is important to you, but you're also a gamer, I hope this helps. So to kind of take you back to this whole burnout thing I was feeling, it was about 2 years ago, right? I make this video, why I'm quitting Rocket League. And it was basically about how at the time I thought I was burnt out with Rocket League, that I just didn't like the game anymore, that I needed to move on to the next thing. And it's hard to make sense of, you know, kind of the bubble you're in when you're in it. But now that I've kind of stepped back, I realize that I wasn't necessarily burnt out with Rocket League. I was burnt out of the kind of content game. I was kind of burnt out of the content machine, of the sort of lifestyle or job that I kind of trapped myself in. And when I got into Rocket League, I just did it because I like teaching, but quickly it became my job. Quickly I built a team. That team became pretty big, and it kind of all heightened in 2022, 2023. Rocket League's at its peak. We had a big team at the time, and I found myself no longer making videos just because I love to make videos, but making videos because I had deadlines. And having to hit these kind of deadlines, get a certain amount of views, and basically do it for a job rather than do it for purely the love of the game, the love of teaching. And so what happened was, basically I would, you know, wake up on a Saturday or Sunday, look at the week coming up. And for those of you who don't know, 99% of you know me as the Rocket League teacher. I'm the #1 Rocket League coach guy on the internet. You know, I have 500,000 subs today. At the time, I had maybe 200K, something like this. Team was growing. And the way that it actually worked is we make a little bit of money on ads, but the real way that we made money was we would run these boot camps. We had the Grand Champ Roadmap, which later became the Grand Champ Boot Camp, and we run like 6 to 12 week cohorts. We'd bring, you know, 10, 50, sometimes close to 100 players in. And we take them through these 6 to 12 week experiences. We train them, me, my team, pros, pro coaches. It's really cool. But what would happen is every sort of like 6 or 12 weeks later on, it would reset. We would have 0 students, and we'd run these back to back, and I would have to fill these cohorts. And so instead of making videos like, what am I learning? What do I think is interesting? I was making videos for the algorithm. Right? And it was just like, what gets the most views? What's the least time for me to make? And what can help me fill this cohort in 21 days? And so it's basically just, and I think a lot of you felt this, my content got very stale and boring. It would just be like air dribble guide, settings guide, speed flip guide, air roll guide, flip reset guide, rinse and repeat. Top 10 tips, rinse and repeat. And it just kind of sucked the joy out of making content, because I was no longer teaching or learning. I was basically just repeating myself. I became a dancing monkey on camera. I would show up, I would do my bit, I would read the lines, I would give the tips that I kind of always give, that I knew would be viral, right? That I knew would get views. And that works to a point, but eventually I got to a breaking point where I was like, this is not fun. It was fun while it was growing and Rocket League scaling up, but you do that. I started my company in 2021. It comes 2023, even getting into 2024. That only lasts so long, right? And so I kind of hit this breaking point where I took 3 steps back. And it was only in that kind of downtime, and it didn't happen overnight, like I'm summarizing this, but like I could kind of reflect and understand what was going on. I didn't have any mentors at the time or people in the YouTube space to look up to, but I've now seen other YouTubers say the same thing, and I get it. You get to this point where because you're uploading on deadline, I'm not creating content that I think is interesting. I don't have time to explore the game to improve. And something I've realized is being a teacher, it's very important to me that I'm working on my own game, right? And personally improving at Rocket League. In order to be able to learn new things, teach those things, pass them on, I have to have time to explore the game. And so in that kind of time where I full reset, we killed the deadlines, we completely switched away from a cohort model to now we have a improvement community, and the community is the main thing. I only then had time to kind of explore the game without deadlines and learn things. And like, for example, something I'm really proud of is like this year we uploaded the air roll tutorial, 60-minute guide on how to air roll left, air roll right, exploring directional air roll. And the only reason I was able to spend 4 months on that video, right? We make a 60-minute guide. I bring in like some of pros on my team. Was awesome. The only reason I could do that was because I didn't have deadlines, right? And I'm really happy because so many people found that like super, super helpful. And the reason I made that is because it's what I had learned working with one of the pros on our team. Shout out Shock. And I was inspired to make that video. And now that I've kind of pulled myself out of that situation, I realized that what I was doing is I was pushing down these feelings of burnout. And I saw a video from Dr. K, and this is what's inspired me to make this. What I learned in that video was burnout. I used to have this bad idea of burnout. I was just like, burnout, just work harder. Like you must just not have thick skin. But what Dr. K explains is that burnout is not being tired of working hard. Burnout is being tired of working hard, but not getting anything in return, not seeing any changes. And when I think about it that way, I realized to myself, oh, I had been working hard, and at the start, I saw my channel grow. I saw the company growing, the cohorts that we were doing, they were getting bigger. I was learning, right? I was improving. I was evolving in some way. And when I stopped learning and growing, and I was just started showing up and being the dancing monkey on screen, that's when it broke. And that's when that burnout started to hit because nothing was changing. I wasn't learning. I wasn't improving. And so what I wish I would have known sooner is that it's okay to change your mind, to stop working on something in the same way. I always had this idea of like, I never want to quit, right? And I push those feelings down. And because I pushed those feelings down, what ended up happening was I failed worse than if I would have just taken one step back. Right. And so instead of, for example, taking a break or reevaluating, it's kind of like instead of, going to the gym for like 5-6 days a week, right? You're going to the gym consistently. You start to lose motivation after you can do it for a while, right? For 3-4 months, but then you go to yourself, oh, I'm like, you're kind of just going through the motions. You're not enjoying it. Instead of pulling down to 3-4 days a week, I just kept pushing. And eventually, instead of pulling back a little bit, maintaining for a season, right? Moving down from 3 uploads a week to 1 upload a week, maintaining, and then coming back, I just kept pushing through the signs of being exhausted, not realizing that I needed to change. And that ended up blowing up in my face worse than if I would have just taken one step back. And so I guess the takeaway is like, sometimes it's okay to change what you're doing because as you grow, as your priorities change, your goals change. And so maybe it made sense in one season of my life to be posting 2 times a week, 3 times a week on YouTube, right? Growing the channel, hustling. And now with the position I'm in, to spend more time on videos and upload less frequently, but higher quality, that's okay. But because I had this idea of like, I'm going to work hard, right? And I can't settle for anything less than the new standard I set for myself, I ended up breaking. And so what I'm trying to say is it's okay to change why you're doing what you're doing. It's okay to change how you're doing, because as you grow up, when I started playing Rocket League, I was 16, 17, completely different goals. COVID hits, completely different goals. And now I'm a 23-year-old, right? And I have a team. I'm in a completely different position. I have different life goals. And so of course the way I show up should be different, but I didn't understand this. I didn't have the perspective to understand this. And so by stepping back, and I'm looking over at my notes here to try to not make this waffle. By stepping back, I realized that I still love Rocket League. I still love improving. And now that I'm playing the game more, I still love teaching the game. I just was burnt out of the sort of machine and the expectations and the deadlines and the training, the level that I set at myself. I was doing it for too long. You can sprint for a couple months. Sprinting for a couple of years, you're going to blow up in your face. And so it's like okay to short-term rest, to long-term sustain higher levels of performance, right? Like rest is productive if it helps you be more effective the next day. Like this is something I just did not understand when I was, 20 years old. And so now, because I'm playing the game more, I've realized that being a teacher, again, means being a student. Being the Rocket League coach guy requires me to play the game, to enjoy the game, to improve at the game. And so without those deadlines, I've kind of made that time. And my plans are right now, you guys have probably seen on my YouTube, I don't have a strict upload schedule. I upload when I have ideas worth sharing. I'm focused on improving my own game, right? And that means I actually play the game, not grinding the game, but maybe an hour a day, sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours on the weekends. And I've kind of gotten back to sharing things when I have something worth sharing. Something I've also added on is streaming, because I go live every Monday where I'm coaching students in my community. I'm like, why not just stream this too? And that's made me a better player as well. And it's like doing all these things has kind of gotten me back to a position where I feel like I'm now at a level that I could sustain. And so I guess what I'm trying to say now is my plan is I joke to people in my community, my plan is I'm not going anywhere. I know you're probably sick of me. You're like, you get out of here. I'm unfortunately now the coach, but that's okay. My plan is to stay in Rocket League. It's still my day job. I'm still going to be the Rocket League teacher for as long as I can see. But I've created that space to where it's sustainable. And my side hustle now, for those of you who watch like kind of the entrepreneurship, will now know like I'm really passionate about not just doing what I'm doing with Rocket League, but I'm teaching other gamers what's worked for me in Rocket League, building my audience, helping them build communities too. And so like doing all these changes has allowed me to continue playing Rocket League and continue being a gamer at 20 something years old, but it's given meaning to why I'm doing it. And so like I guess you don't have to just 180 and like completely quit something in order to be mature, to grow in life. Sometimes you can take a little step back, and hopefully if you're like in your life and you're looking around and you're kind of struggling with your relationship with something, you can realize that something maybe served your past self, and now where you're at in life serves you differently, but that doesn't mean that you just have to cut it out and quit and walk away 180. If you're like, ambitious and you kind of relate to me, maybe you see yourself, maybe you swing these ways too, and like kind of bring yourself to the center, doing something consistently sustainable, you'll realize is way more important than just like sprinting as fast as you can and then ending up quitting because you can't maintain that level. That's it. I just wanted to update this video. Hopefully this is helpful. Live on Mondays. Coaching channel for uncut videos. Rocket League Bootcamp for videos with my team. And I'll be here talking about entrepreneurship, self-development, and building businesses with other gamers. But thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. See you in the next one. Bye. Bye.